matter what sport we choose, we're always looking for a feeling. Now, the great thing about water sports is that we get this feeling of freedom. Wake surfing over the last 10 years or so has really gained its popularity because so many people who thought they weren't going to have their turn are now getting some time behind the boat. Hey guys, my name is Shaun Murray, and today's video is about getting you and your friends up on a wake surfer and getting into what I call the push. The most important thing you're going to learn from this video is safety. Now, you should never ever wake surf behind an outboard or an inboard-outboard boat. The only boat that you should ever wake surf behind is an inboard boat. The reason for that is because the prop is completely underneath the boat, free and clear of the surfer. Drivers, make sure that you have a mirror, a spotter, and are paying attention to your surroundings at all times. And passengers, make sure that you're using the intended seats at all times. Do not sit on the gunnel of the boat. Whether you're a passenger or a surfer, make sure that you are not touching the boat's platform at any time while the boat is underway. And just like every other boating activity, make sure that you're aware of the carbon monoxide and the effects that can happen from it. So that everyone is speaking the same language out on the boat, let's go over a few terms. The bow, that's the front of the boat. The stern, that's the back. Now port, that's the left side. Starboard, that's the right side. Now when you're surfing, there's two different terms. Front side, that's when the wave is on your front, and back side, that's when the wave is to your back. Now the board has a few terms that you also want to know. You have your toe side, that's where your toes are facing. Now the heel side of the board, we call that your heel side. Also the tip or the nose and the tail. You ever use one of them old wooden tennis rackets? Sure, you could use it, but there's a reason they've improved them since then. Wake surfing can be the same thing. Make sure you get set up on the right equipment. To get connected to the boat, I suggest you use a wake surf specific rope. It has a bigger diameter and either no handle or just a small handle. It also has some big knots and whatnot on it, so it helps the surfer grab onto shorter and longer sections. With no exceptions, the wake surfer must always wear a US Coast Guard approved vest. You can look right to the inside of it and see the label there. To create the biggest, cleanest wave on everybody's boat, it's going to be a little bit different. Now, to off-weight your boat or have the weight to one side, there's nothing wrong with that legally, but make sure that you're always being conscious of everyone's safety and the safety of your own boat. All right, time to get in the water. Now, the first way that I suggest people get in is simply just hop in the water while hanging onto the board so it doesn't get away from you. The first way to teach people to get up is the slap start. When you do this, don't put your hands on the board. Let it float just out in front of you, and then rest your heels up on the board with them a little bit more than shoulder width apart on the heel side edge of the board. As the boat begins to go and line tension goes into the rope, let your arms go straight, push down on your heels. That will allow the board to slap into your feet. Now that the board is against your feet, keep your arms relaxed. As your arms get pulled straight, let your knees hit you in the chest and your heels hit you in the rear. That means your knees are going to be completely bent. As the boat begins to get more speed, let your shoulders roll forward over your knees, and that allows the board to go underneath you. It's okay if the board goes under the lake surface. That's actually a good thing. That means you're not pushing as much water. The boat will begin to go a little bit faster. Immediately cut away as you're staying in a squatted position, and as you're cutting away from the center of the boat, you can then begin to stand up with your legs. Keeping your chest up with your hips up close to the handle is a great way to have good body position. Okay, so you've got the slap start dialed. Now to add a little bit of flair even to how you start. When you're standing on the platform of the boat with the boat turned off, let the board float out just a foot or two, and then simply hop onto the board. But there's a trick to it. As you hop onto the board, be very gentle and go into a sitting position like you're sitting on a chair while cradling the board underneath you. Keeping the board underneath you takes a little bit of finesse. Give it some time. Once you have the board underneath you, you can go into what we call a pro start. You can do this on a wakeboard or a wake surfer, and that's where the board is already underneath the lake surface. As the boat begins to go, the board will fly up to the surface like a wing, so the less you lean back, the less pressure there is against your body. now you're up and surfing, and it's time to get into the meat of the wave and find what I call the push. This is that moment when you go from being pulled by the rope to being pushed by the wave. This is the feeling we were talking about earlier. So now that you're up surfing far away from the wave, now it's time to get your feet adjusted on the board. Now you start to scoot your foot towards the center line of the board. This is going to give you way better board control. Begin to make your way towards the wave by leaning in that direction. What you're looking for is to get into the meat of the wave, and that's where you can find the push. One of the most important things is make sure that you're surfing down the line. That means that your board's center line is going to be parallel to the crest line of the wave. The real important key is to not be too close or far from the back of the boat, or too high or low on the wave. You're really looking for the sweet spot. Now to control where you are in the height of the wave, scoot your front foot closer to the toe side edge of the board. It's going to be easier to stand on the incline of the wave. Experiment with going too high and too low, and you'll feel when you get out of the push. Controlling your distance from the back of the boat is really important. Your front foot is your accelerator and your back foot is your brake. If you find that you're fading too far from the back of the boat, push on the accelerator by bending your front knee. If you find that you're getting too close to the back of the boat, put on your brakes by bending your back knee. As you get better, you're going to start to anticipate the feeling of going too fast, too slow, or too high or too low, and you're going to be able to stay in the push much better. So taking some of these board control steps that you've learned, try carving. When you first start doing this, do it with the handle in your hands. This is going to allow you to experiment where the boundaries of the push are. Okay, I know this is a moment you've all been waiting for. You want to let go of the rope. Honestly, most people do this a little bit too soon. So take your time finding the push and see how long you can surf with slack in the rope. If you can do that without having to use tension to stay up near the back of the boat, then you're ready to let go. So as a surfer, you can do a couple different things. You can either just drop the rope and then the passengers can pull it in, or you can try to throw it to the passengers in the boat. Passengers, really important that you never touch the rope while the wake surfer has the rope or handle in their hands. All right, getting your carve on. Now just like when you're experimenting finding the push going top to bottom, front to back on the wave, you can start to carve whether you have the handle in your hands or whether you're going without it. A key to carving is making sure that you're not getting too far from the push. If you do that, you're dead in the water, they gotta come back and pick you up. Hey guys, thanks for watching our video today, and hopefully you've learned something you can take out to the water and also give your family and friends a turn and teach them as well. Now whether you're driving, surfing, or passenging, make sure that you're paying attention and are safe at all times. I'm Shaun Murray. Enjoy your ride.